They told me the building was the quiet kind of rich, the kind that hums instead of shouts. Midnight glass, river view, badge locked everything. Asterion Dynamics sat over Harbor City like a lighthouse made of money. I cleaned the floors when nobody important was around, and that was exactly the point. You don't fear what you don't see. You don't hear what doesn't make noise. I leaned into that. Show up early, leave late, learn every vent and hallway, keep my head down, keep my kids safe. My name's Eli Brooks. I used to make a living behind a drum kit. These days I carry a ring of keys and a mop, and I keep time with a life that doesn't forgive mistakes. My daughter Mira, 7 bare feet any chance she gets, doesn't hear the world the way most people do. Sounds stack up on her braid themselves, turn into shapes only she can see. Doctors had 100 Latin words for it. I called it her music. That night, it was 2:31 a.m. when I realized she wasn't where I'd left her, curled up on the bench outside the conference suites with a blanket and a sketchbook. I put down the mop, felt that jolt only a parent knows, and followed a ghost of blue marker down the hall. And there she was, standing on a chair outlined small against a wall of glass and a whiteboard the size of a garage door. The motion lights blinked on. To this day I can hear the click, and my kid kept drawing like the light had asked her for the next line in a song. Loops, arcs, a spiral nested inside a pentagon like a wave folding back on itself. Not a doodle, not anything I understood. But I knew grace when I saw it. "You're not supposed to be here," a voice cut from the doorway, cold, precise, the kind of voice that could stop a room mid-breath. Rowan Hale, the CEO. I'd seen her face on digital banners on framed magazines in the lobby, woman built of steel and coffee, the kind people called brilliant because they didn't know how to say relentless. Mira didn't flinch. "I'm not hurting," she said softly, the marker almost taller than her forearm. "I'm just finishing the part that's missing." I put my hands up without thinking. "Ms. Hale, I'm sorry." Rowan lifted a hand and stepped closer to the board, eyes tracking my daughter's lines like they were coordinates to the moon. "Where did you see this?" she asked. No warmth, no cruelty, just an edge honed by 1,000 decisions. "I didn't see," Mira murmured. "I heard it, like a knock at the end of a long hallway. 1, 2, pause, 3, and a swoop." Rowan's jaw set. She didn't blink. 9 months the rumor mill had whispered about some impossible project in the basement, the Lattice Veil. Encryption for the defense guys. Code that ate other codes for breakfast. Asterion had poured fortunes into it and come back with headaches and press releases. And my barefoot kid had just completed a loop. I went to her side, slow, steady, and brushed a curl off her cheek. "Bug," I said. "Say sorry to the lady." Rowan's gaze never left the board. "Don't apologize," she said. "To my kid. Tell me what else you hear." We ended up in an empty conference room Rowan found with a wave of her badge. She dimmed the lights, killed the vents, shoved chairs against the corners to deaden the fluorescent hum. "Whiteboard, not tablet," she said, more to herself than to us. Sound-isolated headphones. Percussion tones over pure pitch. I watched her then, not the headline CEO, but a person whose mind refused to sit still. She set a small speaker on the table, tapped her laptop. The speaker pulsed. Mira's fingers twitched. Second pulse, she chose blue. Third, her shoulders dropped, drawing like she was exhaling. The lines came steady, measured, disciplined. People think kids can't be precise. They've never watched a child who finally found the language that fits them. "She's not copying," Rowan whispered. "She doesn't do mimicry," I said. "She listens. The world's music without lyrics." Rowan looked sideways at me, curiosity, not pity. "How long have you known?" "Since she was 4, I said. Most sounds hurt. A dryer didn't. A snare with brushes didn't." She stopped crying when the rhythm made sense. "And you took a janitor job," Rowan said. "Not judgment math." "I used to teach jazz," I told her. "Small rooms, late nights." Her mother passed. The gigs didn't fit the childcare. I chose the shift no one fights for. I didn't give up music I wanted to add. I gave it to her. But I didn't have to. Mira finished the drawing, capped the marker with both hands like she was putting a lid on thunder, and tapped the board 3 dots that weren't quite aligned. Here, she said. It tries to hide. It's late by a breath. Rowan leaned so close her reflection blurred inside the glass. Late by a breath, she repeated. She opened her laptop, hands hovering, then landing with a surgeon's confidence. If there's drift, it won't show as logic. It'll show as rhythm. The lattice veil chamber lived 2 floors down behind more copper and concrete than a bank vault. Only 5 people are cleared in this room, Rowan told us as the door sighed open. Tonight you make 7. My stomach tried to climb my throat. My kid squeezed my hand and frowned at the air. It's loud, she said, nostrils flaring. We'll go slow, Rowan answered, and for the first time since I'd met her, her voice softened. Code fell down a wall of screens like snow in a wind tunnel. Beautiful if you didn't need to survive it. Mira didn't watch the waterfall. She stared at an empty corner near a server rack. That piece isn't dancing, she said. It keeps skipping. 4 beats, and one's missing. Rowan froze the stream, highlighted a section that looked like everything else and nothing at all. Asynchronous leak, she murmured a minute later, half to herself, half to God. Small enough to dodge an audit. Wide enough to smuggle a convoy. She looked at me. Whoever built it used my signature, the kind of sentence you feel in your teeth. There's what you do next because the handbook says so, and there's what you do because you can't sleep if you don't. Rowan's version of sleep lived somewhere none of us could reach. She sent us home before dawn with a thermos of chamomile and a thank you that sounded like a promise. I put Mira in bed, kissed her temple, and went back to scrub marble that didn't need scrubbing. The overnight guard, Gus Navarro, a man who kept stories in his laugh lines, leaned over the security desk and said, "You hum when you work, Brooks." "Old habit," I said. "Old musician," he countered. "That kid of yours was counting 914 time the other day. Know what that means?" "It means she's not afraid of what doesn't divide evenly," I said. Gus grinned. "Smart girl. Don't hide her light." Upstairs, Rowan tore through audit logs like a storm with a graduate degree, chasing her own ghost through old comments, private branches, signatures she didn't remember writing. She found what she called the attic, a dead zone they'd joked about back when she and Carter Lang, the CTO, were just 2 kids at Cross Bay Institute playing God with code. In the attic, she found a seed, a slim silver drive signed out by Carter 3 weeks earlier and never returned. In the morning, her message popped up on my beat-up phone. "Need your eyes on something." R. We met in a cold storage room. Most employees forgot existed. Generation 3 seed should live right here, Rowan said, tapping the shelf. It doesn't. Carter took it. She didn't look angry. She looked betrayed, which is worse. Why would he? I started. Because no one questions the salesman while the builder is busy building, she said. We didn't go to the board. We went to the basement. Carter was good hell. He was elegant, but elegance leaves fingerprints if you know rhythm. Gus pulled up legacy blueprints, found a maintenance corridor that shouldn't have led anywhere and led everywhere. The first hatch opened like it had been waiting, the next, like it was surprised we knew the tune. We found his shadow library behind a panel no architect had signed, humming with the same soft heartbeat as the lattice veil chamber. Rowan lifted a drive from foam like it was an unexploded shell. Back upstairs, she plugged that thing into an isolated terminal and let the truth crawl out. Contracts, transfers, keys mirrored and rerouted. This isn't just theft, she said, voice flat. This is someone renting our country's locks to strangers. How loud you want to play this? I asked. Quiet and surgical, or horns blazing? She stared at the code like a person stares at the edge of a cliff. Strategic, she answered, and loud at the end. Carter didn't slither. He swaggered. When she called him into a private conference room, he brought a glass of whiskey for the optics. I stood behind the glass with Gus,